Let's get more on this now from our special correspondent in Washington, Philippa Thomas. Philippa.
Mike, the talk here is all about the troop numbers, timelines, even exit strategies. But my guest believes the entire US strategy in Afghanistan is somewhat misguided. From 2007 to 2009, James Cladd was the US Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for South and Southeast Asia under Robert Gates. So
Exactly.
You know the region we're talking about here, and you feel something is really missing in today's strategy.
Look, the president, all of us want to achieve the right result and extricate ourselves with honor and something approaching an achievement in Afghanistan. But what's missing from the package, it appears to me, after 20 years of working the region, both as a foreign correspondent and also as on the academic side, is there is no regional settlement that's being talked about. That is to say, what are the major contiguous countries there, including, say, the Saudis, who aren't contiguous but are very big? What stake do they have in Afghanistan?
So we're talking Russia, China, Iran.
Absolutely. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, China, India. The second thing is the role of India is way, way underplayed here. We spent all this time, the last period of time, the administration which I served for the last 2 years at least, working on getting a strategic relationship up with India. Where's the payoff? We had a visit here last year. Frankly, very little resulted from it. We need to work with the Indians so they understand the region. Their objective is to constrain Pakistan in an environment, but not to dismember it. That should be our aim, too. The third thing is to really understand that we're going through another iteration of pretending, thinking we can crack the code and work with the Pakistanis and get them to do what we want them to do. They won't, because it's not in their interest.
And yet there is a real danger in alienating Pakistan, because the immediate neighbour and the area in which many militants are sheltering can't be left out of the game.
No, it can't be left out of the game, but they feel they can manage that. What they feel they can't manage is the existential threat that they see posed by India. But the very same people who are not really helping us as much as they say they're going to would take a very different view if we started, for example, supplying Afghanistan through eastern Iran. It's one of the options out there. Why aren't we using it?
You talk about getting all the players involved. The first problem is there's an immediate issue and there's a call for immediate solutions. But also, what's the motivation to bring in Russia or China when they can sit back and watch Washington being overextended?
You've nailed it. You pretty much got my answer. The problem is that right now we indicate that we're there indefinitely. We're going to have another throw at it. We're recalculating. But the real problem is that those countries, until they're forced to, are going to say, let the Americans bleed, let the Americans carry the water. We hope that they succeed. But when they're facing a real situation where they've got to be brought in, or things will go back to the way they were before September 11th, 2001, then that will have a radical and bracing effect on them, and they will come to the table. We've got to encourage them to do that.
James Cladd, thanks very much for giving us the big picture there. And Mike, of course, will all be watching the speech, seeing what it says, not just about troop numbers and strategy, but where Afghanistan stands in terms of a regional strategy, how Washington is thinking in that way. But for now, back to you.
For sure. Philippa, thank you very much indeed. Thanks to you both.